A 23-year-old college student is killed in an ATV accident that also left her boyfriend seriously injured. Now, months after the fatal crash, her boyfriend faces homicide charges in connection to her death. We're breaking down the latest development as his lawyer claims the tragedy was unavoidable. This is Inside the Crime, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner. Police say the crash happened after a deer ran into the roadway. And you might be thinking, how does that equal homicide charges? Well, police say they discovered that the woman's boyfriend was allegedly under the influence of alcohol at the time of the crash. Alyssa Boyd and Julian Fleming were a super cute couple who...
Is Julian Fleming? Why have I not seen anything else about this? Like, this isn't even just like this is a stud. This is a legit dude. Like, he's a dude.
Seemed very loving toward one another. Last November, she posted this to her Instagram with the simple caption, "Proud of you, 3." It's a sweet tribute to her beau, as the number 3 was the same number Julian wore on his Penn State jersey. 6 months after that post, though, Alyssa tragically was dead. Police say on May 23rd, Alyssa and Julian were riding around on an ATV in Bradford-County, Pennsylvania. The two were probably having a great time. It was near the beginning of summer, it was a Friday, Julian was the driver, and Alyssa was riding as the passenger. Then police say a deer jumped into the road. I mean, for any driver, they're going to try to avoid the deer, and that's what Julian tried to do. But the ATV collided with the deer, causing them to crash. Julian was reportedly knocked unconscious. When he came to, he noticed Alyssa wasn't breathing. Officials say she had critical injuries, but there was no chance of saving her. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Julian had to be taken to the hospital for treatment. Now, initially, investigators noted there was a deer that hadn't been dead long near the site of the crash, and it seemed to match the damage Pennsylvania State Police trooper saw on the ATV. Now, officials noted neither Julian nor Alyssa were wearing safety equipment. And while at first glance the deer seemed to be the cause of the terrible accident, the investigation remained ongoing. Some reports even suggested it was just a terrible freak accident. On June 2nd, Julian posted this tribute to his late girlfriend with the emotional caption, "Not a day will go by without you on my mind. Love you forever." When investigators dug deeper, though, they learned the former Penn State football player was allegedly under the influence of alcohol. On October 7th, now 5 months after the fatal crash, Julian was charged with homicide by vehicle while driving under the influence, homicide by vehicle, aggravated assault by vehicle while driving under the influence, DUI with blood alcohol between 0.1 and 0.16, careless driving, unintentional death, plus more.
Nah, y'all reaching, man. They looking for some bullshit. Like, that's whack. She wouldn't even want him to go to jail, man. If he was drinking, she knew he was drinking, and she still got on the ATV, man. Come on, man. Stop it, bro. Y'all charge this man with murder? It's a tragic accident, man. It's sad. Don't get me wrong. Like, the young girl died. Like, come on, man. Y'all reaching for this man. Like, for what reason? For what reason? Just so you can have someone to go. Just so you can say you charge someone.
His defense attorney saying that he surrendered to police and was later released after posting a $75,000 bond. His lawyer told NBC News he's been cooperating with police and even submitted a blood alcohol test that his lawyer says,
bro, that slit is kind of, never mind,
is registered at 0.118, which is still higher than the legal limit of 0.08. His attorney told the outlet, a deer ran into the roadway. They were both knocked unconscious. When he came to, she wasn't breathing. He was traumatized. Regardless of whether there was alcohol involved or there wasn't alcohol involved, this was an unavoidable event. He hasn't done anything wrong. He hadn't operated the ATV in an unlawful manner. He hadn't done anything wrong when this deer ran into the roadway. Alyssa's death left her family and loved ones heartbroken. Her loved ones writing in a GoFundMe post, Alyssa Boyd, 23 of Bloomsburg, PA, passed away unexpectedly in an ATV accident while riding with her boyfriend Julian Fleming on May 23, 2025. Alyssa was a 2020 Central Columbia graduate, where she was an outstanding student and athlete. Alyssa was studying toward a psychology degree at the University of Alabama, where she was a member of the Gamma Phi Beta sorority. Alyssa was so deeply missed, as her smile could light up any room. Though it's unclear how Alyssa's family feels about her boyfriend facing multiple charges, the district attorney's office is still moving forward with the case, and Julian is set to appear back in a district attorney.
Wait,
Though
hold
it's
on.
unclear how Alyssa was so deeply missed, as her smile could light up any room. Though it's unclear how Alyssa's family feels about her boyfriend facing multiple charges, the district attorney's office is still moving forward with the case, and Julian is set to appear back in a Pennsylvania courtroom later this month. So what could all of this mean? Could Julian get serious time for this very tragic accident? I'm joined now by criminal defense attorney John Day. John, thank you so much for joining me. In your opinion, do the
Nah, this is like crazy, bro. Cause I was trying to remember. I was like, wait, why do I know Julian Fleming better than what I realized? He's a former Ohio State player, and he was never like necessarily a dominant player. But in 2022, he was legit. Like he was definitely a contributor, man. Like definitely a real deal contributor to the football team. Like this is a top tier athlete we're talking about here. Like you got to remember when you're talking about competing at a high Division I level, doesn't matter that you got drafted or you're not NFL. People always think that you didn't go to NFL or you was trash, whatever. No, this dude was a real like legit football player, man. Like 2022, 34 receptions, 533 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's a real deal. 2023, 26 receptions, 270 yards. Okay, kind of, not as good of a season. 2021, 31 receptions, 357 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's as a true sophomore. Like, and I don't want to just, be naming off his stats like as if that exonerates him from being, going to jail for this. But this is like a highly disciplined, dedicated dude you're trying to put in jail for an accident. Come on, man. Like drinking and driving on an ATV probably ain't the smartest, but he wasn't in a vehicle. You know what I mean? He wasn't in a car. He didn't hit nobody on the road. Like they both willingly got onto the ATV. She probably knew he was drinking. Like the alcohol is not what caused the accident at the end of the day. That's just my take, man. I think that's silly.
charges fit the crime here. I mean, you have homicide by motor vehicle, homicide by vehicle while driving under the influence, aggravated assault by vehicle, and that's just naming a few. But do you believe the charges fit the crime here?
Hi, thanks for having me. So what this differentiates this is the fact that there is according to law enforcement, there is a breath alcohol test, the test of alcohol in the blood, or blood alcohol test that raises this to a criminal level. It's not the simple accident, tragic accident that you might have if it was just a collision with an ATV rider and a deer. When you introduce alcohol into it, that's what raises this to the level of a crime. And then, of course, you have the tragic death involved. So, yes, it seems like it's an appropriate charge on the prosecution side for the death of someone, and there's an ATV accident, and there's alcohol involved by the person who is in control of that vehicle. So, unfortunately, we see this way too often. But an ATV looks like a fun toy, but it can be deadly, especially when you introduce alcohol at the level that this apparently was in the driver's body. A lot of these state crime labs are backed up, and they're seriously backed up. So a lot of times, if you're a prosecutor, you're waiting for a long time to get a result that then you can use to apply to a criminal charge. So is it possible that they had to wait for results to come back? Yes. Is it possible that they were continuing to conduct an investigation?
I guess it makes more sense why we didn't really hear much about this, because he's not a current player. He was a former player at Penn State. I think his career must have been done. He must have graduated last year, I think, because it was 5th year. I think he probably redshirted 1 year. I think that was his 5th year. And then also on top of that, not only was it his 5th in last year, he also was, in the off season as well. So they didn't really talk about this that I remember. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to the news cycle as much. But then at the same time, this happened in June, and they're just now charging him in October. And I know they're talking about it now, backed up on cases and all that stuff. But that's just kind of crazy to me that took the guy 4 months to charge the man. Now too, he's been, how much of this evidence is even pliable now?
Talk to all the eyewitnesses, talk to people who were present, who might have any information. All those things are possibilities, but a lot of the times it's something as simple as you got a crime lab that's really backed up.
Mm-hmm. And I want to go back to a point you had just made in the first answer, talking about how an ATV, while it does look like a fun toy, it can be a very kind of dangerous vehicle if something were to happen to it. And I think some people also don't realize that you can even get a DUI while driving an ATV, but really it goes for any type of motor vehicle. As long as it has a motor, if you're driving under the influence, that also can lead to a crime. What are your thoughts on just people not recognizing that allegedly driving an ATV while under the influence can also be a crime?
Right. Any type of vehicle. I mean, it can be an ATV, it can be a golf cart, it can be a boat. A lot of people don't understand that it's not just a car, it's not just a pickup truck. You can be operating a motor vehicle in your jurisdiction. And if you are consuming alcohol or some other substance that can impair you, you can be facing a DWI charge, an operating while under the influence charge. And, you see it a lot, sadly, with ATVs because they are often associated with, a recreational event, or you're out on a trail somewhere. It's not like getting into a car, closing the doors, turning on the ignition. And in this case in particular, when you've got a test result that looks like it's between 0.10 and 0.16.
It was interesting that he brought up the golf carts too. Because in Florida, man, everybody drives around in a golf cart. So I always wondered, like, actually about the golf cart. And I'm kind of glad he cleared that up for me a little bit, because I assumed you probably couldn't drink and drive them. But I'm sure people obviously do, and they obviously drive real cars too while drinking. But that one seemed like a little bit more of a gray area. So cleared that one up real fast.
Most states, almost every state, the legal limit for intoxication while driving, for example, is 0.08. If you're at 0.1.
Oh, they're in Columbus right there, by the way. So he might have been dating her since Ohio State.
6, you were twice the legal limit. So what we've seen here apparently is that the results came back somewhere between 0.10 and 0.16, which 0.10 would be slightly over the legal limit. 0.16 would be twice. And so this indicates to the prosecutor that this person is impaired, and that impairment led them to do something that led to the death of someone. That's where you get the homicide by vehicle charge. And so it's it's a tragic example of what happens when you mix a fun device like an ATV and alcohol, and suddenly you've got.
She bad, dog. Man, that's unfortunate. He lost a real one. No, just let me stop though. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't agree with that shit at all. I think that's dumb as fuck. Why y'all trying to send that man to jail for some shit like this now? I could understand if, like, I don't know, I could understand if he, like, ran it into a tree or something, but this is silly, man. Like, I'm not saying that he did nothing wrong, but to send a guy to jail because he was out having fun with his girlfriend and a fucking deer ran in their way and he wrecked the car is like crazy to me. We gotta be better than that. You got better things to worry about, Pennsylvania. I know you guys